We do. I was working on one of the so I do freelance podcast editing. I am now an award-winning podcast editor, which is very weird to say.
Hang on, where's your placard? It didn't happen.
Digital, which
Boo.
is
Yeah. Then you need to print that and frame it, my bro.
that's
Like,
right.
come on.
Dude, one
you
of
should
the
have
podcasts
it on the wall. I know it's your wife's desk behind you, but you should
Right.
put it on the wall behind you so we can all
Secretly.
see it.
right.
And then she knows that you are the real breadwinner as an award winner.
That's right. If you knew my hourly rate, not great. But so I as they have expanded, I have expanded the number of podcasts that I edit for them, and most of them. It's interesting. Most of them are not public now. They are internal podcasts for corporations, which is a very cool thing that I like that adoption of just like, here's our internal podcast. That's really cool. But one of the podcasts, the host was just like, they were joking about like, oh yeah, we should just do this live, and someone else was just like, live podcasting, like that just sounds like the most terrible thing, and I was just like, yeah. Does it? We've been live for I don't know when we started live streaming this. It's been a long time.
All you have to tell them is how many Teams meetings do you guys have on a weekly basis?
Right.
There's your live podcast.
Right. Yeah, it's just like, and the thing that freaks so many people out is the idea of being on camera and making a mistake. And it's like, just roll with it or edit it later. Like you can edit video too.
So I actually have something on this. Someone started filming me this week, and I don't like being filmed.
Yeah.
Because that's the... I am full of... Believe me, I'm not an idiot. Well, I am an idiot. I'm not ignorant. I am aware that this is live streamed and people can see our faces on camera and everything like that, and we do video versions of the podcast. I'm aware of all that. I'm fine with that because it's me talking to you guys. The camera is a byproduct. It's not the focus.
And it's like a controlled environment. Like, we are seeing of your room and of you what you want us to see.
Exactly. It is performative to a degree. Like, it's most of the thing you don't see is the darkness, which people who talk to me off live things will hear the darkness encroaching when I make a joke.
Right.
But I'm aware of that. This is just a byproduct of what we do, and I'm fine with that. So when someone points a camera at me, it's like,
Hiss.
I'm not playing your silly game. I'm not going to answer you stupid questions. I'm not going to interact with you at all.
Right.
Take the camera off me. I don't like being filmed as a whole.
Right.
In this instance, like you said, it's all under my control. I get to wear my hat because I hate how my hair is dark brown in it right now. Like, look, I have my wings coming out already.
Getting fluffy. Yep.
The haircut needs to happen. It is this week.
Yeah.
Let's say, speaking of spaces, I had an online parent-teacher conference on Friday afternoon, and my wife and I were in here because guess what? This podcast setup works great for meetings.
Exactly.
So I got my microphone and everything here all set up, and then the lady comes on and she's like, "Oh, are you really into video games?" And I'm like, "What fucking gave it away?"
I might be, just a touch. Running your own store in the background, like, yep, just a touch.
Yep.
Oh man.
Thankfully, I haven't had anybody ask me about the crying baby plushies behind me, so that's good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have had to ask
Satan.
about. Really, Spider? You're gonna come and crawl across my monitor now?
Yep.
I can't catch and release right now, you idiot.
Well, now you made him feel bad. He's just gonna leave.
He's going behind the monitor because he doesn't like being seen either, apparently.
That's right. That's right. As long as he's not like climbing on the camera, then I think we're okay.
Dude,
No, we're not, because now my skin is crawling. Now is the problem.
Adios, little buddy.
I don't know what kind you are. You are big enough to be a not friendly spider. In other words, it's got a butt on it.
Yo, that spider's got a bud.
Spider's thick.
Well, it's so funny when I do like PTA meetings for the school. I have like the whole setup here, and I've got like I'm using the same camera and mic, and I'm using the same light here, and like everybody else has like their phone on Zoom that's like I see all the way up their nose, and it's like, please, just I'm not expecting you to have this, but like you just like put the phone on a table or something, like just. Yeah, they're like flopping around on their couch with their phone in their hand doing this. It's like, please, I don't need to see any of this.
It is pretty funny when, especially with stupid meetings, and you get that same thing with people where it's like, oh, I'm at home working, and it's like I just saw you grab a cup of coffee and you were barely wearing pajamas. I doubt you were really working, but that's fine because I'm not your boss and I don't care.
Every time I have to teleconference with my doctor, he's always like, wow, look at this whole, you look so good, you sound so great. And I was like, yeah, like I feel really bad for you, of like someone in their car on the freeway being like, it's coming out of my, it's just like, oh, I don't understand what you're talking about.
The clarity, he could diagnose your pneumonia like that as soon as you started talking.
I give one hot wheeze and he's like, yes, I'm gonna write something for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
For the record, by the way, I hate speakerphone. I just want to that on the record again. Like, if you're calling a company to discuss something, fucking take them off speakerphone. I don't care.
At least like when the person on the other end picks up, like then just take it off. Like if you're listening to the cool soothing jazz of 30 years ago, like you can put it on speakerphone, whatever.
I had one person yell at me because I was trying to understand what they were saying, and I couldn't get the address for the service. I was like, maybe take me off speakerphone. That might help. So they did. And I was like, okay, that's perfect. Like, well, you were on speakerphone. It should work. And I was only on the other side of the room. And I was like, are you fucking serious?
I'm going to die.
You're yelling at me across a room.
How do you not understand
this? For several
this?
reasons which are your fucking fault.
Oh, my God. Okay. Are you guys ready to get started?
Yes.
I got shit, but yes.
All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast, aka TVGP. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is Moonpeer.
Howdy.
And the Nimp.
I'm enjoying Moon's freshly squeezed t-shirt.
That's right.
So, before we get into the promos, we need to talk about this because this t-shirt isn't available anymore because they renamed the title from the All-Atlantic title to the Intercontinental title.
There you go.
This t-shirt doesn't exist. It's great.
Nice.
Patreon.com/E1M1.
Those ones are the numbers, not the words.
That's right. I'm very happy that I did all of that intro in one take because I was just talking about how easy it was to do a live recording of a podcast in our Outcast, which is the exclusive uncensored takes we have before we go recording this part of the show. So all the stuff live and all the exclusive patron stuff over there. You also get early access to Critical Misses, the show where Moon and I are catching up on the meaty hits we missed. You get
I can't wait till they get to season 20, dude.
Season 20's been pretty hot so far. We're I think we got a good one going. I mean, they're all good, but this one's really, really outstanding so far.
Okay. Favorite season, Boston? 2. Name 2 of your favorite seasons. I can go right off the top of my head.
Alien one for probably about 4 or 5 different reasons of how did I miss multiple cultural touchstones of some of the most famous movies of all time. And then, whoops, it's accidentally a longer season. I gotta say, and then probably the Fast and Furious season, largely because it started it, and I love those movies now, and we picked up another episode of that like a year afterwards when Fast 9 came out.
So you literally picked my 2, by the way. The first one because go listen to that first season because it's like, no, Boston, please stick with it, Boston, please.
Right. Stay strong.
Stay strong. We'll get to 5 eventually.
Right.
And yeah, the Alien season, exactly as you said, like that first one is a banger in the Alien season.
Yeah, we started off strong on that one, and that was Yeah, that's a good one.
You guys talk so much about Fast and Furious that today I was at a Dollar Tree and they had, guess what? Fast and Furious 9, and I thought of you two.
There you go. That's a good movie.
That's the way it should be.
We
are #family. Thank you very much.
That's right. So you can get that over there, 2-month early access on Critical Misses. You get early access to We Roguelike It, which is the show where Moon and I are playing through a bunch of roguelikes, and we recorded a 35-minute episode this week. So if you want to hear the detailed ins and outs of our most current game, you can get that on Wednesday this week if you're a patron. And it's like a really packed episode. So we have a whole ton more stuff. Wayward Sons. I want to mention that one, especially here, where Moon and Imp are watching the Supernatural TV show. They're doing a watchcast for that. That comes out every other week. So it is staggered. So every week you get either Wayward Sons or you get Critical Misses. So you're kind of getting something every Tuesday. And get all
either early access or exclusive content, basically.
That's right.
Every week, essentially.
You got it over at patreon.com/E1M1.
Ones equals numbers. Thank you.
Moon, what have you been playing this past week?
Oh boy. Nothing.
That's a lie, because I could tell you what you were playing on Discord.
I kid. Wait, what? Does my Discord actually show what I'm playing?
It showed what you were playing earlier today before we started recording. In fact, right now it's telling me a game. You want me to tell you what it says?
That's not me playing that one. That's not me playing that one, unfortunately. Actually, fortunately, because I don't have to do the grind on Paw Patrol Grand Prix, which is the game that my Xbox is currently playing.
Yep.
Which I have played this week, unfortunately. And yes, it's fine. It is a racing game. Why it has an achievement for beating the adventure with every single pup, I don't understand. That is ridiculous. Whatever.
How many are there?
Playing. It's like 14.
12, 14, 15, something like that. Tracker is in there, probably.
It's not great, but like I'm sitting here thinking, okay, maybe 30 character all-star cast.
But each adventure mode is 17 races, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's not Mario Kart where it's like 4 and out. Like,
right.
This is like Paw Patrol where apparently an adventure is 17 races.
Yeah, goodness.
Whatever. So that's fine. I was also playing earlier Minecraft Dungeons.
Yep.
I like that game. I just need to get the achievement so I can uninstall, because I was planning on having a different game to talk about this week, and then I realized that when I bought it a month and a half ago on this show's announcement about it, I couldn't install it because I didn't have a hard drive space. So
there you go.
That is installing this morning. It hopefully should be ready by, I don't know, maybe like tomorrow or something. As long as the We Roguelike It game doesn't overtake my sanity like it did this week.
Right.
Like, that's literally all I played this week, pretty much, was that. We also didn't mention I played Islanders because Game Club will be out this week.
Yes, thank you. Our latest game was Islanders. Our next game is going to be Ghostwire Tokyo, which is free on Game Pass and some tier of PS Plus. I don't remember which one. I genuinely don't care. Google it.
My son just figured out, and I didn't tell him because I wanted to see if he would. He figured out that when he's logged into my account on the Xbox One S in the living room, he can stream it even though it's a Series X and S game.
Oh, right, yeah, because you can do that.
Yeah, so now he's playing. So if you see me playing that, that's not me, that's my son. That's why I haven't really played anything on the Xbox this week. But the other weird thing is, and I know this is kind of off tangent, the TV out in the living room that my S is hooked up to, I can never get the X to display properly on that monitor or on that TV. It's always cutting off the edges. And I've done everything. So don't give me your stupid Google it or do this or that. Trust me, I've done it. I work IT. I know how to troubleshoot.
Right. I know it overscans.
Did you turn it off and then on again?
Dude, I almost threw it up against the wall to see if that would fix it. But when he's streaming, doesn't cut off on the TV at all. Everything fits perfectly. As soon as they go back to playing a game that's on the One S, cuts everything back off again.
That's weird.
And
Technology.
that just infuriated me because I noticed it yesterday when he was playing. I'm like, man, that looks really good. That looks really sharp. And then he pulls up the map and I notice I can see like all the button prompts and the legends and stuff. And I'm like, you son of a...
Did you fix it? I'm so proud of you.
That's an ongoing problem this week is gremlins in the cables for everyone involved apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Minecraft Dungeons. It's fine, whatever. That game is way harder than it should be. Like I just want to say
Yeah.
that like on the
Difficulty
recommended
spikes.
difficulty, that game is way too hard. Like every time I load up a map, I have to be like left bumper, left bumper, left bumper. Thank you. I don't care if my recommended difficulty is 22.
Can I just get like the
recommended gear level is
podcast
22.
difficulty where I'm like, I'm listening to something,
Yeah.
I'm watching something else, like...
Or in my case, can I get the achievement hunter difficulty,
Right.
where it's just let me breeze through it so I can get the achievements and uninstall this like 40 gig monstrosity from my hard drive, please. Thank you. That's not going to be easy on that game. I just don't know what to say because it's one of those. I hate it so much. But yeah, pretty much other than that, the only other thing I really played was Marvel Snap because I like I said, the roguelike game this week took my every time I could sit down, it was like Genesis Alpha 1, let's go. Genesis Alpha 1, let's go. Listen to We Roguelike It if you want more information on that. It's kind of a hot banger that nobody has heard of really.
Yeah, we're finally digging into another one of those, like, I don't know what this game is, and week 3 we're like, wow, all right, yeah, this is a hell of a game, let's do it.
But yeah, Marvel Snap is the last thing I played, really. I have stepped back from the Shuri Red Skull build after the nerf on top of the nerf.
Mm-hmm.
It was still strong, it was still powerful, I was just annoyed by it, so I was just like, I'm just going to take a step back, go through my other decks and see what I feel like using. Right this very second, I'm using my Patriot deck because one of the on heat zones or whatever it's called, this is on that shows up all the time today, is an ongoing one, so Patriot's in that list. My go-to deck, however, I'm very disappointed in the character limit on the deck names for Marvel Snap.
Okay.
Mostly because this is a deck I've talked about previously, and I tend to call my decks basically by the 3 main power cards. So, Powerless Patriot is my Patriot deck that's got no Powerless. I've got the Shuri Skull Task, which is the Red Skull Shuri Taskmaster build. This one was previously, and still is technically called, the MODOK Morbius Discard. Okay. I would, however, and I know this is a potential show title, but it will be vetoed due to length. I want to rename it to the Mechanized Organism Designed Only for Cubes because it has been my go-to deck, and I have jumped. Like, I'm at rank 68, pushing on 69 right now, with like 2.5 weeks left still in the season. Like, this thing has been... I don't know if it's because the meta has changed around everything else. But for whatever reason now, this thing seems to be a powerhouse of a deck, and I'm just like, cool. Let me drop Morbius, let me drop this guy, let me throw MODOK on there 10-5, and oops, I win every time, it feels like.
Whoopsie-doodle.
Or like, I had one person who hit White Queen, I think, on turn 4, which copies one of your highest cost card. The only card I had at that time was MODOK. As soon as they saw MODOK, they retreated. And I was like, what is going on?
I know what's coming next turn. I'm out of here.
like what happened? Like, suddenly this deck that I was experimenting with 3 months ago suddenly super strong in the meta? I don't know. But
right.
Either way, I'm enjoying it because I love playing that stupid, like, I'm just going to drop, like, 26 power on the board on the very last turn because fun in games. But unfortunately, that is all I have been playing because, like I said, sometimes we get a rogue like that. The Aura Game Club game that just snaps with you. No pun intended. Did not mean that. Don't even... Nobody write that down.
It's just so in your
trying
psyche.
to delete it.
Yeah. I had to turn the volume off on the game because I got fed up of hearing, like snap opponents.
Shiny
then I don't...
logo.
I don't realize when the opponent snaps because I'm not looking at the cube, so I don't see when they snap unless it tells me out loud that they snap. But yeah, the roguelike game kind of absorbed my time. That's all I've been playing. Mr. Nem, take us away, please. Thank you.
Okay, I don't have a whole lot, but I do have a little bit. Trails to Azure, I did beat Chapter 2. I am now in the, what do they call it? There's like the intermission in between the chapters. So everyone's going to the theme park in Crossbells, which has Mishy the cat in it, which is the big gray cat. That's about as far as I've gotten so far. So
you got your anime beach episode interlude, huh?
It is shaping up that way because there has already been talks about going to the lake in swimsuits, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I guess we got to get this out of the way now.
It's a JRPG, yeah, you got to check that box.
My goal is to get back on track. I know with the last one, 0, I was able to knock out like a chapter a week, and that's what I want to try to do again. But I don't know, man. Time has not been nice to me lately. So.
Yeah.
Comes for us all, dude.
That's right.
Eventually. The next game I played, Tales of Iron. I did beat that game this week. I did also get the platinum for this game this week.
Nice.
It does a very nice thing that when you beat the game, there's like continuation of the story, but it also shows like on the maps if there's any weapons or armor still in the world that you have not picked up.
I love when games do that, where it's like, hey, if you want to just clear out these last couple things, here's where they are.
I was going to say, because there is a trophy for gathering all weapons, pieces of armor, including head and chest, and all shield types.
Oh, okay.
So, and all range types as well. So luckily for me, I was only missing like 5. So I just looked at the map. There was one area I didn't even go into. So that was pretty obvious that there was at least one in there. There was another section that I was going to that I had to go to complete a side quest anyway. So I grabbed those 2 things, walked to the next screen and completed that side quest. There are 2 special boss fights. One I think both of them you have to beat the game to get to, but I'm not 100% sure. One of them I am not going to spoil because it is really awesome, and you get a very well-known single-hand weapon. Like, just across all genres, everyone knows what this weapon is. Nice. And it's really awesome, and it pretty much one-hit kills most things.
Great.
And then the other one is you're just fighting like a previous king, like several kings ancestral wise, and you're just fighting them, and then you get like this king armor set, which looks really cool. So there's all kinds of weird, crazy stuff that you get with this game, and it's not difficult. There's only like 5 areas, and I think to get the platinum for me, it only took me about 5.5 hours.
Oh, that's not bad. I
also was playing on easy, which I did not die. However, I'm not going to tell you that this is an easy game. There are many key points that I could have died if I was screwing around, and even when I wasn't screwing around, there was at least one boss fight that I got super close to dying on.
Oh jeez.
My son did play it on normal, and he said he was dying like all the time, and I think there's like 2 more difficulties above normal.
Oh gosh.
So if you're looking for that challenge, it's there. If you're looking to just play the game and have a light challenge, easy does it just fine. So, so yeah, it's a really fun game. I really liked it. Oh, and I got a random message from Xbox on my computer, which freaked me out. I hope that doesn't come
Game Pass!
through. No,
okay,
cool. I was saying I don't have the audio set up for computer sounds, so okay,
It's
cool.
okay. I got my haircut appointment reminder right as you started talking as well, so apparently it's just notification day.
I guess. It's unprofessional Sundays, everybody.
There you go.
And my last game that I played today is Vampire Survivors, because I got sick from my very, very lovely, beautiful wife who decided that if she was going down, I was going down with her.
That's right. In sickness and health.
Hey.
Yeah.
So death to his part, man.
Exactly. Right. Until one of us turns in that check at the end. So
right.
They had the new update come out. So this gives you, I think it's like six characters, 8 characters, something like that. There's always like a whole bunch of characters that gives you. every character has a unique weapon. I'm not going to get into everybody's thing. These, compared to the last one, I know that there was like 1 or 2 characters in the last update that I was like, okay, that's a novel weapon that they have, but it's a super pain to actually try to use and try to get any like synergy with.
Right.
This one, I don't think I had an issue with any of the weapons. Like, they all do something very different and unique compared to past weapons.
Oh, nice.
And I think it was very easy for me to just be like, oh, well, that seems like it would work really well with this. And then, like, 5 minutes later, I'm just tearing across the screen. I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is fantastic.
Yeah, that's the combo right there.
Yeah. So there is a new map. You actually get 2 new maps. I'm not going to go into everything with this, but the first map is huge. It's probably about as big as the last one that we got. And it's based on like a fairy tale, like medieval D&D kind of fairy tale map of here's a forest area, here's rivers, and here's a giant lake, and here's like a village over here and all this stuff.
Oh, okay.
And you can go explore and find your new character. You have to unlock a character in the map. You have to find them. It's the same as the other ones. You find a coffin, you defeat everything that's guarding the coffin, you stand on top of the coffin. You get the whole thing of like, hey, the vampire is in the next coffin or whatever little screen that they give you.
That. Yep.
Yeah, and then you unlock your new character. The cool thing is that these new characters that you get, you will eventually find that there is a puzzle that you have to figure out, and you have to figure out what to do with them to unlock a whole other area, which then unlocks another section of that whole other area, which then will unlock a boss, like a final boss.
Okay.
So, like I said, I'm not going to get into that because it took me a little. It's not terribly difficult. Like, you're going to see a thing, and then like a couple minutes later, you're probably going to notice, oh, hey, that kind of looks like. Oh.
Right.
So,
I bet if I do the. Yeah, I see.
Yeah. So, but it was really cool. Fighting the final boss for this DLC. Much like with a lot of this game, sometimes I couldn't tell if the game was screwing up or if this was just a feature,
Right.
So, there was a lot of things happening, and then there were some times where nothing was happening, and I couldn't really figure out, okay, is it supposed to be doing this right now? And then later on, eventually it does, finally things start to happen, but then other things start acting weird. It kind of feels like the lost levels of like any old Super Nintendo or Nintendo game where you're like, I think I just broke through the map and now there's like all this weird stuff here.
Oh no, I broke Super Mario World. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I was talking on the forums or Discord with a couple other people randomly about somebody had just started picking this game up, and they're like, oh hey, what do we do for money and stuff like that. I want to tell you right now, don't worry about gold. It's just, you're going to start earning it. It's not going to be fast, but eventually you're just going to get to a point where you're going to have so much gold, you're not going to know what to do with it.
It's like the end of a JRPG where it's like, I can just buy 2,000 of every item and that won't even put a dent in it.
Yeah. I put Queen Sigma on the Bat Crazy map and took the card that every time you pick up any kind of gold, you start the gold frenzy thing. And I just let it sit there for an hour, and I already had almost 1 million gold. Yeah. So, like I said, you're going to get to a point where it's like, okay, I have to grind for gold. Let me just set it, and then you just forget it. You tap the controller every once in a while so the Xbox doesn't go to sleep or your TV doesn't go to sleep, and you're good to go. So, but yeah, the new DLC, it is $2 or $1.79 if you pick it up right now. It's on sale. The game is also on Game Pass. And I think that's
if you haven't played it, you really should. It is as good as everybody says it is.
Because that's what got me through being sick. I like just staring at the screen and not having to think at all while watching crazy things.
Pops.
Yeah, you feel like you're in a fever dream with all the flashing and stuff.
Yep.
You can too. If you are worried that if you have issues with blinking lights and stuff like that, there is an option that you can shut all that off.
Oh, good. Okay,
so
that's nice.
If that is something that can impact you or somebody else in your household, just go into the options. I forget what they specifically call it, but it's
like photosensitive mode setting.
Yeah, something like that. So it's a pretty obvious setting that you just click and then you get rid of all the flashing and stuff.
That's a nice change.
Because there is a lot of things where I know halfway through my night quill, I was like, what is even going on right
I'm
now?
starting to not feel so good.
Yeah. But unfortunately, that's all I did this week. So.
All right. A quick Destiny 2 update here. We have cleared out the Root of Nightmares raid, so we have gotten our first clear. We motored through that. I think we finished in an hour and 45 minutes, and that was even with us kind of learning new stuff in that that last encounter, and then like getting a bunch of secret stuff throughout the raid. So still feel really great about that raid. I still really like it. I think all my, I guess, criticisms maybe from last week are kind of still existing. I think it's a cool raid. I really like the style of it. I think all of us kind of lost our patience of having to run so much from one encounter to another this week. I think largely because we just wanted to get our first clear. It is, for groups like ours, the semi-serious raid group, it's really great having those long runs because that means we can just talk about whatever, and it gives us a little bit of time to just kind of shoot the poops with each other. But when you're like trying to do something specific, it's sort of like, all right, yeah, let's get to the next thing. Let's try and learn these encounters. Let's try and do them. So that was really great. I'm really happy we cleared that, and now we're hopefully we'll get kind of faster and get some more optimized strats and stuff like that with future weeks going forward here.
This is when you guys start being picky about if you don't have the souls of Gehenna, you cannot.
That's right. If you look at what you're using, how dare you? Thankfully, most of our group, I'm not going to say most of our group, all of our group is really good about that, because a lot of it is like, hey, we're going to use this weapon for this encounter. Like, we're using Thunderlord a lot, which is a machine gun that, as you can,
one, isn't it?
Yeah, it actually does more stuff. They released a catalyst for it. Exotic, if you don't play Destiny, an exotic catalyst is essentially a thing you get as a random drop, and then you get a whole bunch of kills, usually like 500 or 700 kills with the weapon, and then it materially improves it in some way. And for Thunderlord, as you use it and as you hit enemies, it shoots faster and faster. And if you get critical hits with it, lightning comes down from the sky and hits enemies.
Nice.
What the catalyst does, though, is as you get those critical hits, it reloads the gun automatically from reserves. So if you're fighting something like a boss with a giant critical spot, you're literally dumping like hundreds of rounds into this boss in the matter of a couple of minutes, and it's really good. So we've been using that a lot for bosses, and it's just like, yeah, you stand here and just brat, and rat-a-tat, and it feels really good.
That was a D1 machine gun, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It's a real old one.
It's funny just hearing it come back, because I really loved it playing Destiny 1 and the beginning of Destiny 2, because it was still really useful then as well.
Yep.
Because that was my consultation prize for not getting Galahorn for so long.
Right, yeah, ditto, man, yeah. And it's been nice because Bungie has, over the last couple months, has done a really good job of buffing a lot of weapons that were being underutilized, especially in machine guns. And machine guns are in a really good spot right now because not only are they doing a ton of damage, they have a ton of reserves. So it's not unreasonable to have a machine gun that has 400 available rounds. So a lot of people are using them as primary weapons now, largely, which is great. So Destiny continues to sort of be in a pretty good spot right now. I have leveraged my complaints about the seasonal and the Lightfall stuff. That stuff notwithstanding, I think the rest of it's in a really good spot. So next game here, I played a lot of Stardew Valley this week.
I saw that pop up on Discord for you a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, a fair amount of it is the game is paused, and I'm off going and doing like child related or house related things, which is
dad stuff.
Yeah, which is the great part about Stardew Valley is I can just listen to the soundtrack and have it paused in the other room while I'm like doing laundry or something. So we talked about Ginger Island. I think it was last week or the last 2 weeks or whatever. I forgot to mention on Ginger Island because I was getting into it is that there are hidden and secret golden walnuts around the island, to the tune of 130 of them, and a lot of them are like the vast majority of them are, if you have ever played a video game in your life, you're going to spot them. Like on the beach there's a weird diamond of starfish with an empty spot in the middle. Maybe I should take that empty. Hey, there's a walnut in there. Oh, how strange.
It's the Skyward Sword Korok seed thing.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a random tree over here all by itself.
Yeah, it looks like there might be a path in these trees. Oh, whoa, look, I can get in there. There's a Simon Says puzzle. I wonder what that's going to give me. So majority of them are kind of like that. I had to look up a couple of them, because a couple of them were in spots that I don't think I would have known how to get to otherwise. And I think I have 125 or 123 out of 130. So they're really not that bad to get. And every once in a while you'll run into like a little parrot on a pedestal on Golden Island, and he'll say like, or on Ginger Island, he'll say like, hey man, I need 20 to build this thing. So you get a bunch of improvements on the island. You're building a resort that people from Stardew Valley are going to every once in a while. You build your own farm and farmhouse over there that has a bunch of improvements there too. You build like a warp, one of those warp obelisks to go back to your Stardew Valley farm. So there's a bunch of cool stuff there. Additionally, I have done a bunch of time, spent a bunch of time in the Forge, so I have done a bunch of upgrades to my weapon.
I was about to ask what the hell you did, to be honest.
Yeah, I've gotten shockingly good luck in this game I have going on right now. I have done everything I need to with prismatic shards, which shorthand for this is kind of the rarest item in the game for all extents and purposes. I've done everything I need to do. Like I gave it to the museum. I actually finally got the last museum item today, so I just got all 95 items in the museum as of this morning. I have the Galaxy Sword that needs another one. I'm sitting on like 7 or 8 other ones. And what you can do at the Forge now with any weapon or any of your tools except for the scythe is you can enchant them with a prismatic shard, and it will do things like it will give you a random enchantment, like the watering can will do like, oh, it'll take 50% less energy to use, or things like that. One of the best ones for a watering can is the never-ending one, where it just never runs out of water, which sounds incredibly great on a long-term scale. And you can do that for weapons too. So I've enchanted my weapon to have 33% more damage on you're gonna love this, Moon, on top of being able to combine rings. So I've taken 2 rings that have 10% additional damage on them and then smushed them together, and now I need to find 2 other rings that I can smush together, so you can essentially wear 4 rings at once. So I'm going through a bunch of this stuff and just murdering every monster in most of these dungeons.
Sounds like it.
It feels pretty great.
It sounds like me the second I hit the point in Skyrim where I can do enchanting, and it's just like, okay,
Yep.
I'm going to enchant my enchanting ring,
That's what I was just thinking
use
of.
that ring to craft a bigger enchanting ring.
Yep.
And then when I get to that point, I'm going to create a bow that one-shots everything.
Yep.
Because I was just thinking, it's like, oh yeah, I finally found those black crystals that I can encase souls into. Time to go NPC hunting.
100%. So I've been doing a bunch of that. I've been going through the volcano. There's a bunch of stuff in there. I'm working on my the monster slaying goals in the adventuring guild. I just hit the 1,000 slimes killed, which is like the goal that I was the most worried about, but actually turned out to not be as bad as I was really fearing. And then because I got more than 100 golden walnuts, I unlocked Mr. Key's golden walnut room. If anyone has played Stardew Valley, Mr. Key is that guy who runs the casino in the back of Sandy's shop in the desert area. And he always sends you missions about, like, hey, get to the bottom of Skull Cavern, which I'm not entirely sure how I will ever do. And he has a bunch... There's a new currency, some sort of gems he has. And then he gives a bunch of new, really difficult missions that you can use to earn more of those gems. And when talking about really difficult missions, it's like, hey, I disabled the elevator in the mines. You need to get to the bottom floor within 3 days. Oh, and also I spawned way harder monsters in the entirety of the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, what? Okay, cool. Or give 50 liked or loved gifts to villagers in the next week. It's just like, wait, what? So some pretty interesting, pretty spicy, kind of difficult missions there that are interesting so far. I am rounding the corner on a bunch of other trophies at the moment. I need to ship one more item, and I will have shipped everything in the game, one of everything in the game. I just got the trophy for shipping 15 of every crop. So that was, the last one was amaranth, of course it was, because why wouldn't it be?
Who uses that?
Yeah. I need 3 more fish, and I'll have that trophy done, and then...
That is the point where I took a break on Stardew after our game club and never went back to it yet, because the fish I need are the legendary fish.
I caught all of those. Those are the easy ones. I now have the hard ones, the ones that like only show up between like 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. during summer when it's raining, or the octopus.
The octopus and squid are fine.
The octopus is the only one I just have. It's not even that it's impossibly difficult. I just haven't been able to catch one yet because they're difficult. They're not impossible, but they're just difficult to get. Thankfully, they're a little bit easier in the current version because there's kind of a larger area on Ginger Island that you can run into them with. You can encounter them there. Once I do that, I'll get that trophy, and then I'll get the All-Star Drops trophy, because that'll be the last one I have. I have to, like, craft everything, which I really haven't started doing. I have to cook everything, which I really haven't started doing. I have so many chests all over my farm with everything saved from every season and, like, everything I've picked up. I still need to get the Earn $10 million one, but I'm at like 2.5 mil at this point, so that's just a matter of time.
Get yourself a cellar full of booze, dude.
I'm on the process of that. I've got a bunch of... I have like one cellar cooking at the moment. There's actually...
You got yourself a speakeasy going there in your little farmhouse?
Pretty much, yeah. Don't tell Mayor Lewis. But I've been kind of impressed. There's an additional level of improvements that you can do to your house in the most recent version, where you can expand your house even further for free. So you can kind of knock out some walls in between rooms. You can remove the crib in your room so your spouse no longer asks if you want to have kids or not. And you can add 2 additional rooms for free, which are a pretty good size. So your house is really, really big at this point, which is kind of nice. And all I gotta do is start practicing on that Journey of the Prairie King minigame. Try and get those 2 trophies. The infamous most difficult trophies in the game by a large margin. So if anyone doesn't know, I think we probably talked about this a very long time ago, but there are 2 mini games in the game. One is Junimo Kart, which is like the
F-Zero.
No, it's like a side-scrolling the minecart levels from Donkey Kong Country. It's like those. It is very difficult. Thankfully, there's no trophy for it. And the other one is like a top-down twin-stick shooter called Journey of the Prairie King. And there are 2 trophies associated with it. One is just beat the game, which is not that bad. But the one that's a real bummer is beat the game without dying. And that's hard. So I gotta get practicing, and then I gotta do a scumbag run, is where you do the Joja Core run, where you shut down the community center and replace it with a Joja Mart, which sucks. I don't want to do it. I'll do it for the trophy and for the platinum, but I don't want to. Stupid Joja Mart. But yeah, man, I really love Stardew Valley. I don't want to talk about how many spreadsheets I have going on to track all this stuff. That's between me and God, but like, I really...
So, I use screenshots on my tablet for it. So I have a tablet with a pen that I can write on.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll be like, here is a list of all of the collectibles. So I screenshot that, save it in my gallery, and then cross them off as I get them.
Yep, smart. Yeah, I really love this game. I've returned to it kind of at the point that I think I really needed to, which is I need this kind of low impact game that I can still be a completionist with if I want to, which that bug has bitten me again on this run. But if I don't want to, I can just do whatever on my farm. Like, I could just run my farm like normal and kind of do the stuff, make some friends in town, hang out with my wife. Like, it's all good. So
live a real life.
That's right. Live a real life on the farm. So Stardew Valley continues to be great. I think there's a Concerned Ape, who's the developer of the game. He now has, I think, like 2 or 3 people working with him on Stardew now. He's been talking about patch 1.6, which is the next one that's going to come out, which is almost entirely a modding focused one. Because his attitude is, I really appreciate Concerned Ape in general. His attitude is, I'm not going to work on Stardew Valley forever. Like, I have a bunch of other ideas I'd like to do. I want to work on Haunted Chocolatier.
Everyone said the same thing about Isaac, but look where that got him.
And what's really interesting is he has said, like, I want patch 1.6 to come out and be modding focused because I want you guys, the modders and the community, to just continue to work on this game. And I want to make it easier and more accessible for you so you can just go do this. I want to go work on Haunted Chocolatier. I want to go work on a bunch of this other stuff, but I don't want Stardew Valley to kind of go by the wayside without me working on it. So I'm going to usher the game into your hands. And I think that's really cool. We don't see a lot of developers. Usually it's just like, no, that's mine. I worked on this game by myself for X number of years. You don't get to... So Concerned Ape's a good guy. I like that guy. And lastly here, my last game, TRON Identity, came out this past week.
Are you excited about there being a potential for a lot more of these coming down the pipeline?
Well, it's interesting because Disney is like, no, we're having Bithell Games like make a bunch of TRON games. And Mike Bithell was like, surprise. They signed us on for a lot of TRON stuff. So if you like the TRON stuff we're doing, we got a lot more coming ahead, which I think is great because...
Before you get into it, before you get too much into it, something I think we can all agree on. TRON has always had a banging soundtrack, either the original or the remake. What is the ambient music like for this visual novel?
Hey man, it's banging.
Yes.
It's incredible. There's a really, really cool opening cutscene that has a really solid song, and even in the kind of quiet tracks, it's really good. Like I think the thing that is really impressive to me with Tron Identity is I think they really get Tron. It's not just the neon lights and the light cycles and the stuff. Like, I think they really get the idea behind the Tron, and I think that's really interesting. So it really is a visual novel with, you can see when you play the game, a lot of the characters animate. They don't just stand there kind of still. They move a little bit in a way that I like when visual novels do that. But the majority of the things you're going to be doing is reading, and you're going to be making some choices here and there. A thing that the game does that I really like, there's two kind of things that most visual novels don't do, which is, if you're looking at the screen, every once in a while there'll be a little white dot over something. If you move your cursor over there and hit, I'm playing on Switch, so I think it's X. The button mapping is really weird in this. It's not bad because you're just hitting X to progress through decisions. It's just a little weird. But if you hit that, you'll get a codex entry, and it'll open up a pretty lengthy entry in the codex about the thing you're looking at, how this matters to people on this server, what the interactions and relationships are between these people, and stuff like that. And when you open up a new codex entry for a character, there's actually a flowchart at the bottom of it, which is made out of like ASCII characters, which is really good. And it tells you the relationships and the decisions that you have fostered through your choices in the game. So like the very top part of the flowchart is, you met this person. Like the first person you meet is Grish, this kind of grizzled security guy. And the first thing is you met Grish. And if you kind of, not really sweet talk him, but if you kind of work with him a little bit, you get the next part of it. The whole thing is filled with question marks, but the next part of it where like, you gained Grish's trust. So because of the choices I made, it goes to the left path. I don't know what the right path is. On a future playthrough, I'll probably do that because I don't think this game is going to be super long. But I like that you can see those choices there immediately, or kind of the reflections of your choices.
It's just like the Walking Dead thing where it's like you take a battery from somebody and they're like, oh, so-and-so will remember that. And you're like, oh, come on.
Well, and it's really good about like when you make a decision, it doesn't have that, but a lot of times the characters will give you that information in the text at the bottom of like, it doesn't say like Grish will remember this, but it'll say like Grish kind of grimaces and he looks at you through squinted eyes. So it's like, oh, that was probably not the choice I needed to make. And really early on, you find out that in this kind of public large building, an explosion happened and somebody has raided a vault, but nobody knows what was in the vault and nobody knows what the vault was protecting. So you sort of have to figure out who did it, how did they get in there, what did they steal, and who is at fault. And so far it's been really good. The writing is really great. It's a Bithell game, so like of course the writing is going to be really great. It looks fantastic. I am really surprised at the level of spiritualism that the game is kind of tackling, because the big question that everybody uses to kind of gauge you as a program is, do you fight for the programs or do you fight for the users? And it's really interesting that you kind of curry favor with people if you're sort of saying like, well, of course I fight for the users. Like, of course that's what we've been taught as a program. Like, that's what we do. And there was a really interesting like religious spiritualist conversation really early on where you make that choice of, do you fight for the programs or do you fight for the users? And having two people have a pretty good conversation and a pretty good argument over that, and how that kind of changed your relationship with both of them. And hearing both of their sides, where the one guy was like, well, of course I fight for the users. Like, that's what we were here to do. Like, that is kind of our purpose here. Why would we do anything else? And then having someone else saying like, well, of course I fight for the programs. Like, who's going to protect us when the users aren't interested in doing that? So really, really interesting takes on Tron that feels true to the movies and true to the works, with and kind of expanding it a little bit in a way that I think feels really interesting. I think to probably address the question that a lot of people are wondering is like, hey, if I have never seen either of the Tron movies, I haven't watched the cartoon, I know virtually nothing about Tron, you can still hop into this. Like, if you've seen literally anything from Tron, like if you've seen a light cycle, you've seen the data discs that people have on their backs, that's all you need to really know. The rest of it they will kind of introduce to you through the game itself, which I really appreciate. It's not like, oh, you've never read the book of this, like the 15th book, and this, like, it's not one of those things. It's like, hey man, Tron is cool. Everybody can appreciate Tron. Let's go play a Tron kind of mystery game. So I think I've played about half an hour of it. This is a game that moves along real fast. If I was to guess, this is probably going to be like a 3 or 4 hour game at most. It's not going to be one of those things where it's like a 40 to 60 hour visual novel or anything like that. Right. So, which is great, because I'd like to play this multiple times. I'd like to see some of those other paths in the flowcharts. And I don't know if I'm in the mood for playing a super long visual novel at the moment. So not too much else to say at the moment. I'm hoping to put more time into it during this week. I'm playing it on Switch, not playing on PC, and it runs fine. So every once in a while there's like this big kind of map you can look at, and that is a little bit lower frame rate, but you're not really doing anything on it, so it doesn't really seem to matter that much. But that's Tron Identity. I think it was like $11, $10, something like that.
That's not bad.
Pretty cheap. And everything seems great so far. And that's all I've been playing.
The character designs look really cool in that too.
Yeah, Jen Pattinson is one of the lead artists on it. She worked on the Solitaire Conspiracy that and I've been a big fan of her artwork for a really long time. It's nice to see her working on another one of these things, because I think their style is really cool, and it fits really, really well in and also for like, they color code the text in the chat.
Oh, to what the person has?
Based on the colors that people are wearing. So like, your character is blue. This guy Prins here, who you're talking to pretty early on, is in red. Grish is in yellow. So I like that little bit of touch. Like, this is each one of these programs' identity, and kind of backing that up.
So I want to get Grish's jacket as a motorcycle jacket. That thing looks like it'd be awesome.
And I think what's cool is like, they do the Tron style really cool. Like, they extend that kind of future program neon light, kind of neon tubing thing really well. I so far they've done a really good job on it. I'm really impressed. All right, but that's all I've been playing this week. So let's take a break.
Yep.
Tron. Boy. I don't think there's any. I already have enough news stories. Now let me check news stories here real quick.
Yep.
There's a new new indie game coming out called Van Helswing. It is basically a first-person shooter with a grappling hook. That's like Van Helsing style. I think that's incredible. Thank you. That and Gunbrella are like two of the best titles upcoming. That's great.
I say indies have been coming out pretty strong the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's really nice. Okay, Are you guys ready for the second part? Nip is coughing and nodding.
I said, let me cough through that. Yeah,
that's right. All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk about releases for the week of April 17th, 2023. Disney Speedstorm is finally out on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, and PC.
I will potentially be playing this depending on what the achievements look like, because I made the mistake of playing Dreamlight Valley without looking into the achievements.
Yeah. All the preview coverage of this has looked really good. I think people are coming out of this. Yeah, people are coming out of this. The previews for this saying like, yeah, it's genuinely really good. It's not just like a pretty good kids game, quote unquote, or anything like that. So, seems great. God of Rock comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, and PC. I hadn't heard about this game.
I think you'll find that was called the Scorpion King. Thank you very much.
Oh boy. Just short-circuited my brain. I hadn't heard about this game until this week. Highly recommend looking up a trailer on this. It is a 1v1 character fighting game, kind of like a Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, but you're playing a 5-track rhythm game to perform your moves on the bottom of the screen. It's really, really, really interesting. There's some cool looking stuff in there. So that's God of Rock. That's a cool looking kind of meld of genres that I wasn't really expecting. Minecraft Legends comes out this week on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, and PC. That is Game Pass day and date. This is the Minecraft take on Brutal Legend. This is the kind of real-time strategy.
Everyone said they wanted it again, so...
I know, here you go. Mojang made another one. It's Minecraft this time. So this looks fine. I'll try this out, because, I mean, it will probably be pretty okay. Minecraft Dungeons didn't really have lasting power for me. I kind of don't expect this one to either, but it will probably be fun for a couple hours, which is kind of all I can ask. Puzzle Quest 3 comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Series consoles.
That's a game I haven't heard in a while.
Mikey, stay away.
No, I really didn't like this on mobile because of how they changed the game. It's not really... It's sort of turn-based now, but you have a timer for your turn. So you're trying to do as many moves as possible in your specific turn. I don't think it worked that well. I'll give it another shot on console, but part of the thing I liked about those first 2 Puzzle Quest games was you did your one move, you saw the impossible chain reaction that happened, and then you did 200 damage to a pile of rats, and that still didn't defeat it, and then you tried again.
I was always on the opposite end of that. I did a move, it didn't do anything, and then the rats did an impossible move that did 300 points of damage. Yeah.
So I didn't really like it on mobile. I'm going to try it again just to see if it kind of clicks for me this time. I don't really expect it to, because I think that foundational change of how the game plays didn't click with me at all. I didn't really like it. The Mage Seeker, a League of Legends story, comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series Console, Switch, and PC. If you don't remember, basically Riot went out and said, like, hey, we want all of these indie devs to make their own League of Legends game that isn't a MOBA. And I think they already came out with one of them. I don't remember. This one is the Moonlighter team is making a League of Legends action RPG. Cool. Which is a lot of checkboxes for me, man. So
but it's got one big survey says next to it, and that's the fact that it has the words League of Legends in it too.
I mean,
Riot also said they were going to build their own internet, dude.
Well, I mean, Riot says a lot of things, but I mean, this isn't a MOBA, so like, I think that's a thing that really is attractive for me. Like, I don't care about League of Legends or the lore or anything, but I think the Moonlighter devs made a hell of a game in Moonlighter, and it looks like they have made a snappier kind of playing game coming out of this one. So I'm pretty curious to see what reviews look like for that. There are 2 big games coming out this week that are going to eat up my time, so I'm not able to get to it at any point in time here. First of which is Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters, comes out on PS4 and Switch. If you're wondering, boy, I wonder if these are reasonably priced. No, because they're Square games. So why are you even asking that question? Final Fantasy 1 and 2 are $13 a piece. The others are $18 a piece. If you want to buy all 6, it is $75 for the bundle, which saves you probably quite a bit of money. But that's a lot of money to pay all at once. So
the physical edition releasing with the digital edition this week, or is that coming out later?
Nope. No.
Coming out later. Okay.
No, it doesn't even release in the US. And then the PS4 version that releases in Asia got canceled, so you can buy the Switch one if you want. And if you wanted the collector's edition, which was available on the Square Enix store for a hot 5.7 minutes, that's been sold out for a couple of months. So thanks, Square.
Right, so...
You're just screwing it up even more than usual.
Also, are they ever going to come out on Xbox? It's a Square game.
Yeah, absolutely not.
All right, so we wait for the Black Friday sale, for the PSN sales to get these all for $5. Well, hell, sometimes Square doesn't even sell those for that much.
Yeah, I don't expect them to sell them for any...
At least they have the quality of life stuff in them.
Right, and we'll be talking about Final Fantasy V next week, because of course that's the first one that I'm going to be picking up and playing. And we'll see how they do on consoles. I don't like that new font, the new font. I don't like that either. They don't understand that.
Yeah, they just can't get that at all.
You just put the Final Fantasy Mystic Quest font in there and everybody's happy.
Everyone was saying, well, apparently the Japanese version of this game has a different font than the North American version. Good. And everyone's like, just why did you not keep the Japanese font?
Yeah, because they're Square. They can't make 2 good decisions in a row. So we'll see how that ends up. I hope it runs well on these consoles, especially the Switch version, because you can play, I think, once this comes out, I think you can play 1 to 12 on the Switch, and that's pretty cool. Nice. That's a nice thing. Go play Final Fantasy VIII, it's incredible. Next up is Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores, comes out on the PS5. This does not have a PS4 version, unlike the base game. So if you don't have a PS5, I guess you're out of luck. I haven't really been paying attention to what this contains too much, because I'm just going to buy it and play it because I like the Horizon games a whole lot. And that trailer ended with a giant spider mech busting through the Hollywood sign. I was like, yeah, man, sold. Whatever else you got in there.
Yeah,
I love it. Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly, comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, and PC. I sort of pleasantly, the trailers of this game is, hey, it's the same thing with all the same characters except some new characters, and you're going to be playing Coffee Talk again. And I'm like, hell yeah, man.
Coffee Talk was a good game.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to do it again. The only concern I have is that the original dev of the first game passed away. Was it last year or 2 years ago? And the studio that was like maybe looking to buy it from him or did buy it from him is continuing the development. So my only concern about this is I hope they nail the tone of the first one, because I really did like that. And I'm very curious to see how they're going to address the ending of the first one without putting any spoilers out there. That game...
Go check out our Game Club episode about this.
Yeah, go play it. It's only a couple of hours, and then go listen to that, because that game ends in a pretty definitive way, so I'm curious to see how they address that at all. Lost Epic is coming out here on Switch. It is a 2D side-scrolling... I think this game is made in Korea, I believe, or Japan. A kind of Souls-like Metroidvania action-packed hack-and-slash thing that looks really cool. I think it's been out on PC for a while. I think people have had pretty good things to say about it. So I'm hoping it makes the translation over to Switch pretty well. So Lost Epic seems like a pretty cool thing. Super Meat Boy Forever comes out on iOS and Android. This is Team Meat's auto-running, puzzling Meat Boy thing that I liked and didn't stick with. And you probably already have an opinion about that based on the description alone, so play that if you will, I guess. Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp comes out on the Switch this week. That looks great. I love those first two games. This new version looks really cool.
Yeah, they were really great until they got they hit their emo teenage years.
Yeah, after the first two, I felt differently about that franchise. It wasn't bad, but it was sort of like
Dark Horizon or something like that. It was called. It had
like
literally had Dark in the title.
It was, but it was like DS because like every game had a subtitle that abbreviated to DS, right? So it wasn't like Dark Synergy or something like that.
Dark Storm or something like that.
Something like that.
Well, they couldn't have called it Desert Storm because that's just hitting a little too close to home.
Yeah, the Genesis game. Yeah. I think these first two are really cool. I'm curious to see if I don't expect it to sell super well, so I'm sort of not expecting them to do the other ones. But did you Google the title, Moon?
Yeah, the third one wasn't even the Dark one. I don't think. The DS version was called the Dual Strike.
Dual Strike.
Oh, that's right.
Yikes. There it is. And last but not least, allegedly, Dead Island 2 is coming out this week on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, and PC. I don't know, man. I hope this game is good.
I'll say allegedly I've seen people taking screenshots of the game case. Whether there was something inside that game case,
it's showing up at
know.
a GameStop near you, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't. I think, like most of us, I didn't enjoy the first game when you find out that it's not just on the island, and you're like, oh, there's way more of this game. I'm tapping out. I hope this one's good.
Spend 60 hours on the island, and then you realize you got another 60 still to go.
Yeah.
In my Googling, I did happen to see that apparently Advance Wars is part of the Wars franchise.
What?
Which has been going since the Famicom.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It is part of... Yeah, because there's, like, Famicom Wars and Super Famicom Wars.
Game Boy Wars Turbo, Super Famicom Wars,
That's
Game
true.
Boy Wars 2, Game Boy Wars 3, Battalion Wars, which came out on the GameCube, and then Battalion Wars 2, which was Wii game, and the dark one was called Advance Wars Days of Ruin.
Days of Ruin, that's right.
Game too.
That's right. Yeah, and the cool part about these games, just like Dragon Quest, they haven't changed at all. Which is great. You know exactly what you're getting, and it's going to be good. Oh, man. All right, let's hit a couple of news stories here. First up, Redfall will launch with quality-only mode on Xbox consoles. This is kind of this week's bummer news story. The PC version isn't impacted by this for fairly obvious reasons, but I will just call that out because I don't want someone to tweet us being like, yeah, actually, but it said, quote, research. That's right. Quote, Redfall is launching on Xbox consoles with quality mode only. 60 FPS performance mode will be added via game update at a later date, end quote. So Series X is going to run it at 4K at 30 frames. Series S is going to run it at 1440p with 30 frames. I think this is a real bummer, man. Yeah. It's not going to be unplayable. Like, let's get that out of the way. I'm not saying, like, how dare you, but...
So I honestly don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the whole quality versus performance thing has never really affected me because I don't play enough games. This is the dude who on a video game podcast. I don't play enough games where the frame rate matters that much. Like, the only time it ever really matters to me is in racing games. Because in racing games, the frame refresh rate is the same rate as the stick inputs happen usually. with the exception of the Burnout franchise, where they somehow desynced it from the frame rate refresh rates, which is why the Burnout games feel so incredible to players because they react immediately. Most other racing games, when the frame refreshes, that's when the controller input refreshes. That's what controls the steering. So that's the only time it ever bothers me, and that's because I'm trying to do sick drifts to get those stupid Forza Horizon achievements.
Get your kudos from
things.
MSR. Yeah.
To
me, okay.
It's a first-person shooter game, which is a PvE game, from what I understand. So you don't need the Twitch-based things anyway. And also, they're talking about it basically being like what was it? The F game, the Far Cry 2, except made by Arcane. And I'm like, cool, I'm in. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm pretty bummed about this. I'm going to be playing this on PC anyway, so it legitimately does not affect me. But I think it's a real bummer I think it doesn't matter for a lot of genres of games. I will agree with you on racing games. The higher the frame rate, the better. Also because it just looks cool racing at 60 or 120 frames. I like it to be at 60 frames on shooters in general because I think it feels better personally. So, like I said, this isn't going to be unplayable. It's not going to be like, oh, we're launching this at 5 frames a second and we'll fix it later. Like, we're not saying that. It's just, these consoles can do better. And I'm not saying, like, delay it until you can do 144 frames. Like, I'm not saying that.
Especially if you're Microsoft, you can't afford delays. You need games. You need games out there now.
And I see so many people saying, like, you guys should have just delayed it. And it's like, no. Like, if it works at 30 frames, you can put the game out. If you don't want to play it at 30 frames, just wait until the performance mode comes out. Like, they haven't given a release window, which is fair, because I'm sure they're still super pushing to get that thing across the line. But, like, if it matters that much to you, just wait. And if you want to play the game beforehand, deal with it. Like, those are kind of your options. You're probably getting it for free anyways, because it's on Game Pass. So, shut up.
But it is still really weird that across both systems, they can't get one of them to 60 and the other one to 30.
Nim, you don't understand. Microsoft have clearly got the PlayStation 5 version all set for 60 frames. They're just going to hold this back.
Well, because Boston and I got it. We didn't get into it, but we talked about it.
We had a good
Discord.
conversation.
Yeah, we had a conversation about how it's weird that we were talking about how there hasn't really been anything that's come out that's really pushed either the Xbox Series or the PlayStation 5. And here we are with this game where they're like, we can't get it to 60.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Like just generally, like why? What is
happened?
The issue that what are you coming up against that's preventing this?
Right.
So
assuming that this is like Far Cry, I'm sure what's affecting it is probably the background systems. Like how much power is it going to take for those background systems? Well, Sony won't let them use the cloud.
This isn't coming out on Sony.
Well, this is my favorite part, is it's not coming on PlayStation 5, because there was a news story a couple of weeks ago of people being like, did you know there was a PS5 version of Redfall in development, and Microsoft canceled it after the purchase of Arcane? It's like, oh, you don't say?
Of course.
Weird. That's almost like what the exclusivity means. And people were like, I can't believe they would do that. And I was like, I feel like you need to, like, maybe think about this whole thing for maybe a couple of minutes. And they dropped a couple $2 billion to say, like, yeah, your games are coming out on our console. And, like, I would love for this to come out on PS5. Sure. It's not going to, because it's an Xbox game.
I would love to play Final Fantasy VII Remastered until someone magically buys me a PlayStation 5. That ain't happening.
Yeah, like, that's just the nature of how this stuff goes. It shouldn't. It should come out on everything. But that's not the world we live in, man. So I hope they get the performance mode patch out as soon as they can safely do it. Like, I don't want them crunching after release just to get the performance patch out. And I'd like to say I hope this doesn't affect the reviews. It probably will for some people that are, like, really pedantic about
the fact that it's an exclusive is going to affect the reviews, dude.
100%
affect the reviews.
Yeah, a bunch of streamers with super powered PCs playing this and being like, oh, it just doesn't look as good as Horizon Forbidden West. And it's like, yeah, cool. They're different games. Shut up.
Yeah.
So
Says Boston, who's going to be playing it on PC.
Yeah, like like this doesn't even affect me.
Ray Tracing 7 is just this is garbage, unplayable.
I don't even know if my card can do ray tracing. Who knows? I just play Destiny on this thing. I play Destiny and Minecraft Dungeons on my PC. That's all I really play.
There you go.
Yeah. Next news story here, way less surprising. Suicide Squad delayed again. It was set to come out in about a month at the end of May, and it's been delayed to February 2nd, 2024. Woof. Quote, "We have made the tough but necessary decision to take the time needed to work on getting the game to the best quality experience for players," end quote. And of course, all the armchair devs on Twitter are like, all right, take out the loot, take out the battle pass, take out this. And it's like,
not coming out.
I don't think you understand how ingrained that stuff is into a game like this at that point. Like, yeah, I would
not only that, but that's not an order from Rocksteady. That's an order from Warner Brothers. That
Rocksteady's not money. Like, let's get the battle pass in here, buddies. Like, that's not what they're doing. Like,
this is so they can launch with a 4-player co-op mode, is what this is. Gotham Knights swing, got him.
This isn't super surprising. Even the last time they showed this looked really rough. Everybody is flying through the air and shooting guns, no matter what character they are, whether they are a shark or not. And it just kind of doesn't look great. So, like, if you need 10 more months to make this game into the better version of kind of whatever you're looking to make it, like, yeah, man, take those 10 months to get it out. And people are like, I bet it never comes out. And it's like, I don't think that's gonna be how this goes. There's way too much money invested into this. Like, I don't think it's impossible that it doesn't come out, but I think there's too much development money and marketing money put into this to cancel it at this point.
I was gonna say, it seems like there's already a completed product, so even if they decide that they can't fix whatever they're working on, it's probably just going to come out and they're going to eat it.
Yeah, at this point, like, I would be, and if they would have canceled it, they would have done it right now instead of delay it for almost a year. Like, I think investing that much money, I really worry for the Rocksteady employees, because that probably means 10 more months of crunch, which is just the worst. I hope it isn't. Hopefully that's why it's 10 months. But my hope is that on the other side of this, the game that gets re-revealed and kind of comes out is kind of the game you want this to be, because everything they've been showing so far has not really been what you want, and in kind of a bummer way, especially coming out of Rocksteady.
I was gonna say, or with how the industry's been, they'll do 10 months of crunch, they'll lay off a bunch of people, the game will come out, and everyone will be like, what did you just spend the last 10 months doing?
Right. Yep.
This is where they control, copy, control, paste Batmans into the character archetypes.
That's right. Yeah, can we get a bunch of those Batmans from Gotham Knights? Put them into 7-player co-op. Here we go.
Hey, I said Batmans, not Bat Family. Thank you very much.
That's
I
right.
Want 4 different
Hashtag Bat
Batmans.
Family. That's right. Oh, boy. Last news story here. Library of Congress is adding its first video game song. They are adding, unsurprisingly, the Super Mario Brothers theme, a.k.a. the Ground theme, which...
This isn't the womp womp version of the theme, I'm assuming.
Womp womp. No, I don't believe it is. They had an interesting blurb here. They said it's perhaps the most recognizable video game theme in history, which I would agree with that. Helped establish the game's. Go ahead.
Daytona.
No, I think if you're going to put anything in there, it's the first Mario game's 1-1. Like, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's the song that everybody has heard, no matter what. Like, you can play Mario Brothers for 5 minutes, and you're like, great, that's in my head. Got that song stuck back in there.
True.
They mentioned a game established the game's legendary status and proved that the 5-channel Nintendo Entertainment System sound chip is capable of vast musical complexity and creativity, which is that's an interesting point. That I think for a lot of people this was like their first NES game of just like, oh yeah, games with music, right? That's a pretty cool thing in 1985. So
I'm sorry, but if you're gonna put a Nintendo game in there because of the sound it makes, isn't it Mario Paint for the music on that thing?
I think that's something you add in later, yeah, of just like, look at what I made in Mario Paint. But I think I think as your first entry here for video games, I think you picked a pretty good one. I think you could also make a case for like Tetris, but those are like Russian folk songs, so I'm not sure if that counts as much.
Can you pick one more song that goes in there? I've got the answer already for me, and I'm going to steal it from Boston because I know it's his. It's E1M1.
I mean, E1M1 is great. I think I'd also pick like Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1.
That's good
also
too.
like Spring Yard. What was the Spring Yard Zone from Sonic 1? I don't remember what that one's called, but there's later on in that track. Later on in that game, there's a really good track in there.
Legend of Zelda opening theme.
Yeah, that like opening theme or like the overworld theme would probably be like another. Yeah, I mean,
that's something that I
Goosebumps
still vibe with today. Yeah,
I thought of the song in my head and gave myself goosebumps. That's how good the Zelda open world theme is.
Yeah. So like, it'd be interesting to see if they add more video game music in here, because this came out with like 5 or 6 other kind of famous kind of standard songs, kind of pop music songs. So curious to see if they'll do one every once in a while. I'd be interested to see what other historically important video game songs they would pick if they would go through, especially if they give kind of a cool little blurb here about the history of it and saying like this has influenced everybody that has made music or orchestrated this song or done chiptune. Like they've all been influenced by like one's music. So yeah. All right, that's all of our news stories for this week. And that's our episode for this week. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page, including a link to the Patreon page, patreon.com/E1M1.
Ones equals numbers.
Talked about all the cool audio you get at the top. The $5 a month is the one that gets you everything. Anything above and beyond that, especially something that your rich friend, who I know listens to the show, they can just fill in whatever number they want.
If they're willing to pay us a livable wage, I'm just saying, I got ideas out the wazoo of stuff that I'd like to do.
We have so many documents and spreadsheets of other show ideas, so you want us to do this full time, we can. And whether that's a treat or a threat, I'm not entirely sure, but your rich friend can figure that out.
It's a threat.
Yeah, that's right.
Boston is still a threat. That's the thing to learn from this.
That's right. Now I need to get a new URL here. But if you can't support us financially, totally understand. You can support us by sharing on social media, telling your friends. Word of mouth is huge. You can like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel. A reminder that we put out a video version of everything that goes on the public feed. Whether or not it's live or not, we shoot video for that. And I think that's it. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
Let's wrap this up before Nimp dies.
I need to retake. I took cough meds before this podcast started, and I don't know if like the 5 minutes I wasn't coughing when we started was all I got, or if they're still just not kicking
That's exactly
in.
what you got.
Yeah.
You got 5 minutes.
You got a hot 5 minutes. Thanks, buddy. Now wait 4 more hours. Okay, Nimp, what are your titles?
All right, I have 4 and Out, left bumper, thank you, Powerless Patriot, Mr. Key's Golden Walnut Room, I'll Do It for the Trophy, and Boston is Still a Threat.
Moon, what do you have?
Powerless Patriot just makes me think of all those right-wing idiots who get
the powerful
dressed up
Patriot
in army
boys.
suits.
Yeehaw!
Powerless Patriot is so good.
Right.
I have 4 and Out, Gremlins in the Cables, Notification Day, Dad Stuff, Stupid Jojo Mart, Hey Man, It's Bangin', Got 'em, and hashtag Bat Family.
All I have on top of that is Unprofessional Sundays. What do you guys like?
Nim, can you run yours by real quick for me? Because I was
4 and
distracted.
Out, left bumper, thank you. Powerless Patriot, Mr. Key's Golden Walnut Room. I'll do it for the trophy, and Boston is still a threat.
Oh,
There's a couple of good ones in there.
yeah. Boston, anything singing out to you?
I like Dad Stuff. I think that one's pretty good. Mr. Key's Golden Walnut Room is just like the dumbest combination of words.
Was actually going to bring that up. It's like, that seems, to me, not knowing who Mr. Keys was for a moment there, I'm like, that's just a garble of words that happened.
It sounds like you're joining some adult-only parties, if you catch my drift.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with either of those two, to be honest.
I think I'm leaning more towards the Golden Walnut Room. That's just
That's fine too.
Perfect. All right, Mr. Keys, Golden Walnut Room. Okay, I'm ready. Whenever you guys are.
I'm ready.
I'm not.
Because I have a very old reference.
Oh no. A classic.
I've got a non sequitur reference, but it's based on that part of the show specifically.
I'll take that too.
I'm just going to confirm that the phrase in my mind is the right phrase he says.
No, don't. Just go with it.
No, I have to, because it's one word. And
Mr. Key needs your accuracy here.
I don't want to get it confused with a Moogle.
Moogles are Kapoo.
Yep. Yeah, Moogles are Kupo. Chocobos are Quay. There's that thing from Final Fantasy IX that makes that alien thing that makes some sort of noise.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
There's that like small red lion thing from 8. They've thrown a lot of stuff at the wall and tried to see what sticks. Cactars don't even make a noise.
I was gonna say, the aliens have made an appearance a couple of times, because aren't they a card in? They're an enemy in 8 and a card in 8, or they show up in one of the card games.
Yeah, I think they were. Oh yeah, or did they show up in 8? I don't remember.
Or maybe they showed up in 9 for the Triple Triad card game.
Oh yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Final Fantasy Alien.
That's close, but I was wrong. So now I have the correct phrase in my head. I'm ready to go.
Sorry, they're called poo-poos. They showed up in Final Fantasy 8.
Yes.
Poo-poos. Great. Okay.
Those little guys.
Starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 808 for April 17th, 2023. Mr. Key's Golden Walnut Room.
Kula Limpa, collect them all and bring them to me.
Just go to the back of the store, through the saloon doors, and you will find it.
Oh, God. Saloon doors are like the beaded curtain. Terrible. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for watching and listening. We hope we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.
And now I'm going to curl up and die.